Hi students, this is a screencast that's kind of a recap on what's gone on in the course so far, as well as some thoughts moving forward here. So I will hope that you will take the time to read this, and I also hope that you will take the time to reach out to me if there is anything that you want to discuss. I've met several of you now, and I'd really like to meet more of you. So here's some thoughts regarding the exam for modules 3 through 5. So that was due last night. Fortunately, all but one person submitted the exam, so that was a good thing. The results were really mixed. There were several people in each class who scored A's. They seemed to know, what was going on, made some simple mistakes perhaps, but I was really pleased to see those grades. There were also several people in each class who not only failed the exam, but bombed the exam. Unfortunately, scoring somewhere around 35, 40 points out of 110. And there were occasions where people were answering questions, and because of the way they answered the question, I could tell that they really had no idea even what the question was asking. It was like they'd never seen anything like it before. That was certainly kind of distressing from my point of view. It's really tough. I know for you guys. I really struggle with this online thing, and that I don't know what's going on with you guys. So I went through the exam, and it does some analytics for me, and I could see how did people score on each particular question. And I went through looking for, hey, were there some questions that just essentially everybody failed? There were a couple things that popped up, but for the most part, we're talking 70% of the people got it right. And it was just really strange because there were some people who I'd scroll through their exam, because I'd look through each one of your exams to see if there were any perhaps weird grading situations. But I'd see people who'd get like all of the questions about changing bases correct. Didn't miss a point. And then they got to this set and set operations questions and they just bombed it. But then there were people who were the exact opposite. They got everything correct with the sets and set operations, but they bombed the changing bases part. So what I was trying to say was, hey, did I not fairly give them the content? Did I not fairly give them the opportunity to learn the material? And unfortunately, from your guys' perspective, I'm sure I was not able to pinpoint anything. I guess the one question, and I went digging, that really stood out was this question: what number comes before 340 base 5? And I told you there were a couple questions that seemed to be missed quite frequently. And they were the questions right around this one. So it was the what number comes after, what number comes before, how many digits are used, and also what's the largest 4-digit number you can write in base 3. So those were the questions that less than 50% of the people got right. So I kind of zeroed in on those, and I thought, all right, I'm going to dig into the content. I want to find out if maybe I didn't cover those, and if I didn't, bad on me, right? Well, I found those questions in the notes sheets. So there was a content page, and it had 2 note sheets that you were supposed to print out, and it had 5 screencasts. Look, I know the screencasts are not exciting, but it wouldn't have been too much better in the classroom because it's the same material. So this one question: what number comes before 340 base 5? Only 40% of you guys got this right. Well, I found that exact problem on one of the note sheets, and right here is the answer. So in my mind, when you were taking the exam, I wanted you to have all those note sheets filled out, accurate, be really, really, really familiar with it, and sitting there right in front of you to take the exam. And so when you came to that question, if you didn't know the answer, I wanted you to say, oh, I know where that note sheet is. I'm going to look at the problems that we did together, and I'll be able to figure this one out. Well, in this case, you would have found the exact answer if you had the note sheet in front of you. So I can't figure out how 6 in 10 people got this wrong. Um, Really, in my mind, the only way the 6 in 10 people got this wrong is they didn't do that note sheet, which is a problem. And I think that you guys, I don't need to explain that anymore. So I did add 10 fudge points to make up for the lack of being able to award partial credit. So some questions, like if you're saying true or false, closed or not closed, that kind of thing, there is no partial credit. But there are some questions that if it had been a paper exam, you may have gotten a few points here and there for being close to the answer. So I added 10 fudge points to each of the grades, which actually gave one person 100% in the class and another person very close to 100% on the exam. Those people are putting the time in, okay? So here's one thing I want to say to you is if you really think that the content's just not there. So I want you to really, reflect on how did I do on this exam? And I want you to think, hey, did I cut corners? Did I skim through the content pages? Did I watch the videos once and not even really with that much focus? Or did I, print out all of the note sheets and I took the notes and I went back over things I didn't get the first time and I asked Kelly and I had them sitting there for the exam? If you felt like you were all in and that there were questions that just were not covered in the content, I really, really want you to come and see me about that. Perhaps I'll be able to show you where they were in the content, and that'll help you in future exams. Or, if there is a case where, you show me something and I can't point out to you where it was, that's something I'll address. So please feel free to do that. So thoughts regarding overall grades in the course. So the overall grades are okay. They're a little bit lower than what my face-to-face sections normally are, but they're not too bad. One thing that I also have done is I've looked at the number of hours that you have logged in Canvas. So I know I've said this before, but you guys leave a footprint in Canvas. I can see what you've accessed, what you haven't accessed. I can see how much time you've put in. So remember, the rule of thumb is, hey, if you were taking this class with me face-to-face, you'd have 4 hours of seat time, during each week. And then I would expect of you a minimum of 8 hours outside of class. So that's a total of 12 hours per week. And if math is tough for you, then you might need to be on the higher end of that. You maybe needed to be spending 16 hours per week. So honestly ask yourself, have I been putting in the time that I am expected to be putting in? And if not, can I fix that? Okay, I know you guys are really busy. Many of you have families, you have kids. Families and kids, that's the same thing, right? Many of you have families, you have jobs, you have other classes, I get that. But this is this point in your life where, school is really, really important. And if you're going to be enrolled, you have to give it your all. And if you can't give it your all, then you really need to kind of sit back and decide, hey, is this the right place for me to be right now? Okay, so think about that. I know many of you want to raise your grade, and in an ideal world, I am hoping that this last exam was a wake-up call for some people, and that they're able to kind of own it and say, hey, I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm going to change that, and I'm going to put in the time, and I'm going to take the notes, and I'm going to whatever. I'd like to see that happen. And if I see that happen, I'd like to maybe figure out a way to help people raise grades. But I don't believe in kind of BS extra credit. The way that I'm considering, though no promises, is to create another optional exam that people can take. I mean, there are some people, guys, who are just nailing every single assignment, every single quiz, every exam, and there's no way in the world that I'm going to make them take another exam because they've done great all the way, through. So I'm thinking perhaps some kind of an optional exam where you can go back and kind of learn the things you hadn't learned before. keep tuned. I need to really think about this and figure out what's fair. I don't want to enable, but I also, if people are willing to say, hey, I need to put more time in this and I'm going to do it, I want to help you out. So stay tuned for that. All right, so the next thing, important information for Module 6. So note that Module 6 is not due until the 28th of March. All right, so that's a while from now. It's end of the day on the Monday after spring break. Right? So I wanted to allow you the ability to take some time off. Okay, if you wanted to be able to take some time off. I believe that taking a break is important. And some people really, really need that. So if that's you, try to get everything done by the end of this week, okay? And then take the week off. However is going to work best for you. Do be aware, though, that the discussion prompts in this module are different. I think that they're easier prompts, but I have structured them so that they are group prompts because I want to see if that helps some people. So the rule of thumb has been initial posts 12 hours prior. I'm like questioning that right now. I think it's 12 hours prior. But I have made these a little bit different. Okay, so I believe the first one is 48 hours prior to the due date or 24 hours prior. Go in there, take a look at the prompts. Okay, get those dates. Also check out the rubric so that you can see what is expected. So I'm wanting you to post your initial post. As long as it is an educated post, even if it's not perfect, that's going to be okay. But what I want to see is some back and forth between students within groups. So there's going to be 3, 4, 5 people in your group. Some back and forth where you guys are able to say, hey, here's the final answer that we all think is the right thing. We've all learned this at this point. So make sure that if you do your work early, that you are coming back to participate in that back and forth type thing within the discussion prompts. Make sure that if you are not going to start for several days, that you at least get it done within the stated guidelines so that you don't lose points for that. So if you have any feedback on that, I would be happy to hear it. I guess that's it for this screencast. Please let me know if there's any questions. I hope that you listened all the way through. I hope that some of you will take things to heart. I'd love to see people raise their grades. I am your biggest cheerleaders here, guys, so please know that I'm rooting for you. I also, I'm happy to hear feedback in terms of, hey, I don't think this was covered really well, and I'll take a look at it if you do that. So that's it. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.